The calls for Joe Biden to drop out of the presidential race are only increasing, right? The media has turned against him, and now big major donors. $90 million in fundraising has been frozen by a super PAC because they don't think that Joe Biden can win. This is just a waste of money in their mind. However, Joe Biden, of course, vows to stay in this race because he believes that he can come out the victor, all right? Or maybe he just believes he has enough people in place in certain states to make certain things happen. But either way, many people are saying, you know what? It's time for old Joe to go out to pasture, right? The mainstream media has now turned against him. The donors are turning against him. And of course, Bill Maher is none too happy that Joe Biden is in this race because he does not think he can win. But before we get to the video, please like and comment so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
The issue with President Biden isn't if, it's who. Who will replace him, because he is not going to be the Democrats' candidate for president in 2024, all due respect. Above any matters of politics or what's right or wrong, the one thing I know for sure about America is this: it's run by mean girls. Mean girls in the press and in politics and in life. And when they smell blood in the water, the lust to finish off a vulnerable person will never be denied. Biden is toast. The walls will keep crumbling, and my pick in the office pool for when he gives it up is August 9th, the 50th anniversary of when Nixon did, for, of course, very different reasons. Yes, replacing a president as his party's candidate this late will seem like a big deal for about 3 days. And then we'll all be over it. It'll be like when a coworker gets her tits done. Yeah. At first, it's, oh my God, and a week later, they're just her tits. America is going to do this. We're going to get new tits.
Bill Maher, even though he's a big old leftist, he has been coming out recently with a lot of good stances on the trans ideology indoctrination, on COVID crackdowns, on freedom of speech crackdowns, all right? However, he's still a creature of the left, and his TDS gets in the way of him making any good decisions, like maybe escaping the Democrat plantation, right? But he's not going to do that. However, he does recognize that Biden can't win. And it's hard to blame him, because if you look over here, Biden can't even fill a gym at a high school, all right? He can't fill up a gym that holds 600 people, and this is why the cameras never pan at Biden rallies. If you come down here, we get a still shot of the Joe Biden gym right there. Look at all the empty seats. Here's all the people behind the stage, so the cameras facing over here will actually look like it's a full house. But if you listen to the audio of people chanting, "Please, Joe, don't drop out," you'll actually hear how hollow and empty this gymnasium sounds.
Don't you quit! Don't you quit! Don't you quit! Don't you quit! Don't you...
So as you can see, it sounds like 10 people chanting, because I'm sure the only 10 people is this guy, that lady, this guy's mouth's completely shut down here, all right? So no one wants Joe Biden to be the candidate, which is why I hope he remains in the race. Of course, the numbers do not show Joe Biden with basically any path to victory. Check this out.
There is talk of some states that historically in recent history have not been as competitive suddenly becoming competitive. Walk us through those.
Yeah, so I'll give you 2 examples, because this is pre-debate polling from 2024, and look at these 2020 results. New York, this is a blue state. I don't think there's a Republican who's carried that in my lifetime, or certainly not when I was more than a year old. Look at this. Joe Biden won this state by 23 points. Look at this polling, though, that came out pre-debate. It was Biden just by 8 points. I wouldn't be surprised if that state is even closer now. Or how about in Virginia, right? A state that Joe Biden easily won last time around by 10 points. Pre-debate, the race there was tied. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some post-debate polling that actually has Joe Biden behind in Virginia. Who would have ever thought we'd see that? But the fact is, when we're looking at these states, New York, Virginia, Minnesota, New Hampshire, states that Joe Biden easily carried last time around, now all of a sudden the Donald Trump campaign thinks that they can put into play. And you know what? Based upon this data pre-debate, I believe they absolutely can.
Look at that. Donald Trump making huge gains on Joe Biden in these traditionally blue states. Now, I have no illusions about Donald Trump actually winning New York City, but look at that gap. How can Donald Trump not win the popular vote with this type of support behind him? It is truly insane. And with numbers like these, it's no wonder that the Democrat field is really starting to panic, right? And you have people coming out and saying, Joe, please just stop the charade. Get out of the race. You are not mentally and physically up to the task, so stop the madness. And of course, since the Democrats can't win outright, many people are calling for the arrest of Donald Trump, like Charlamagne. Check this out.
Does the Supreme Court know Democrats are? That they would pass the presidential immunity while Biden is in office. Yeah. The way the media talks about it, it's like Trump is president now. Yeah. No, Biden's in office. So all of these kingly powers that you're talking about the president having, Biden has now. And he could use some of those kingly powers to protect democracy, but he won't.
Well, there's a more positive.
A liberal pussy. Chris, don't sound like a liberal pussy. I need you to be objective here.
I think you could frame that as he won't abuse the power of the presidency.
So democracy is really not at stake then? If democracy is really at stake and Trump is the existential threat that they say he is,
right,
you should do everything in your power to protect it.
I know this is like the example everyone uses, but Biden could right now say, hey, Trump is a threat to democracy and order a hit. And that's an act of like service, protecting the democracy.
Or lock him up.
Immune.
We don't even got to go so far.
He can actually do that.
We don't even got to go so far as murder. Just lock him up.
Okay, so according to Charlamagne Tha God, Republicans are the ones who are a threat to democracy. They're the ones going out and arresting reporters, arresting whistleblowers, going after and prosecuting political opponents. Does that sound like the Biden regime to anybody? But Charlamagne, of course, is too blind to see that. He's just too worried about Donald Trump coming in and having kingly powers, all right? Never mind the fact that what the Supreme Court said was, if you're actually doing official acts as president, you can't be thrown in jail for that later on, which, by the way, is something enjoyed by many police officers and judges around the country. There are very similar laws that people acting in their official capacity can't later on be prosecuted for those actions. So no one is saying that Donald Trump could go out there once president and just start arresting people willy-nilly, murdering people willy-nilly, right? No one's saying that. What we're saying is that as the president, say there was an election that you thought was fraudulent and you tried to go ahead and use the constitutional powers of getting electors to take a second look, all right? You couldn't go back then a couple of years later and go after him for that. Georgia, I'm looking at you, okay? So Charlamagne, of course, is backwards as usual on this topic. But regardless of any of that, the writing is on the wall. Everyone knows that Joe Biden is going to lose. Hopefully in November. At least that's what all of the sentiment is showing in this country. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.